In just 45 years, Star Wars has become amazingly expansive. From just 3 movies come offshoot comics, novels, video games, TV shows, cartoons, and all sorts of other media, all of them with characters that are very dear to the devotees of that particular media. Well, with the recent introduction of Black Krrsantan and Book of Boba Fett to live action in the New Republic era of Disney+, and with all the new series coming down the pipe, here's my list of highly anticipated characters, original or mostly original to comic books, in Star Wars that should make the leap to live action. I'm Dan Umpton, and this is the Doomcast. Alright, first things first. Do me a favor and hit subscribe and the bell. I film at least one of these per week, and they're all great, and I'd hate for you to miss even one, so thanks a lot. Alright, let's get started. First up is Eternal Rur. Now, Rur was a trapped immortal consciousness of a Jedi heretic from thousands of years ago. We're introduced to Rur in one of the first issues of Doctor Aphra, but at that point he's just a man, a Jedi from a subsect called the Ordo Aspectu, which sought immortality. Now, the Orthodox Jedi eventually tried to shut these people down, but not before Rur and his lieutenant Amon succeeded in downloading Rur's mind into a Force-sensitive crystal, creating an artificial intelligence and copy of Rur. That copy thought it was the original, took control of the computer in the Citadel that Rur was in, and then ordered the droids there to slaughter all of the organic life, including the original Rur himself, as well as Amon. Now, the last we saw this crystal, it had been discovered by Doctor Aphra, but eventually ended up in the custody of Emperor Palpatine. What happened to it afterwards in the New Republic era is anybody's guess. Okay, so Ochia Bestoon wasn't exactly introduced in comics, but he was introduced in comics alive. By Rise of the Skywalker, he's long dead and buried in the sands of Pisana with a blade that showed the path to the Jedi holocron that led to Exegol. But Ochia Bestoon was originally an assassin that worked for the Sith, specifically the Emperor Palpatine, and while we know that he eventually sought out Rey, that post-Empire Strikes Back in the Darth Vader comics, he tested the loyalty of Darth Vader on behalf of the Emperor. But what happened to him during the Age of the New Republic is kind of unknown. Is it possible that he came into contact with Grogu or Kenobi? Magnatolvin was originally an Imperial officer who began pursuing Dr. Aphra during the Rur arc and became a permanent fixture in Aphra's life. And with some substantial cybernetic implants, Magnatolvin is a human Imperial officer and lieutenant to Thanath. But in pursuit of Dr. Aphra, she eventually developed feelings and then a relationship with her that was almost exclusively toxic to Tolvin because she managed to lose her twice when she was under orders to capture her, once on Yavin 4 and a second time on Samalik. Those 2 failures ended up earning her enough demerits to get scheduled for execution, but she was reassigned at the last moment by the Imperial Inspectorate to the Imperial Inspectorate and caught up with Aphra on a Kresker jail, a mobile prison of wrecked ships that are barely cobbled together and hauled by a tractor beam. Now, while it should go without saying that Dr. Aphra managed to destroy this as well, Tolvin ended up joining the Rebel Alliance shortly thereafter in their intelligence unit. She led the extraction team Misericordia on a mission to assassinate Emperor Palpatine himself, which was also ruined by Dr. Aphra, so Tolvin was sent on behalf of the Rebel Alliance to capture Aphra last time. But after she escaped, she sent Tolvin a message from Echo Base on Hoth to forget about her completely. But did Magnatolvin manage to survive to the New Republic? Possible. BT and 000 are murderous droids that originally accompanied Dr. Aphra in the service of Darth Vader. Now, they're both kind of dark comic foils to C-3PO and R2-D2. The pair are conversely similar in appearance to a protocol droid and an astromech droid, but that's about where the similarity ends, because they are both programmed to be incredibly violent to organics, homicidal in fact. And while Dr. Aphra managed to, for some time, maintain an unsteady alliance with the pair, she later ran afoul of both of them at other points, only to finally rescue them and help them to escape Darth Vader as well, who shredded both of those droids. Now, is it possible that they are still around in the New Republic? Very much so. Han Solo's first wife, and she has a dope Corellian freighter of her own. I'm already on board. Sana Starros is the pilot of the Volt Cobra and works with the Rebel Alliance. Her family in the Old Republic was a deep political family, but in the Age of the Empire, Starros was an archaeological student with very little money at all who studied alongside Doctor Aphra originally, with whom they did a bunch of cooperative excavations, but later had a relationship. Now, Starros later met Han Solo and Chewbacca on the planet Takodana, and eventually married Solo in a sham marriage in order to pull off a heist. But Sana did become a part of the Rebel Alliance, like I said, and as well as helping Luke Skywalker in a rescue, she was later hired by Hera Syndulla specifically to capture her old squeeze Dr. Aphra from a Kresker jail. Now, currently she's wrapped back up with Dr. Aphra working for Domina Taggi, who's a crime boss and trying to escape Crimson Dawn, another crime syndicate run by another former Han Solo squeeze, Kira. Ren is the eponymous founder of the Knights of Ren. He was introduced by Charles Soule as a dark side force-using character in The Rise of Kylo Ren. Now, it tells the story of Luke's confrontation with Ren alongside Ben Solo, and later of Ben's transformation into Kylo Ren through his betrayal of Luke Skywalker and the killing of Ren himself. Now, Ren's a charming but powerful dark side force user. A lot of his prehistory is still untold, but he lived around the time of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, so his origin story should be unfolding parallel to these stories as well. Now, of course, Dr. Aphra made this list. Cheli Lana Aphra became a fan favorite after her introduction in Darth Vader in 2015. An amoral, clever, but kind of aloof archaeologist, slicer, and grifter, Aphra is a cross between Indiana Jones and Han Solo with none of the morality and all of the charm, and two very deadly droids in tow, like we mentioned before. She'd foiled Darth Vader more than once and lived to tell. She ended up instrumental in a number of different huge conflicts in the Galactic Civil War, but ultimately she has an ongoing comic series, and her fate is unknown. It's extremely possible that she's still alive around the time of the New Republic. In fact, one of my friends, comedian Daniel Frana, speculated that maybe the role that Mary Elizabeth Winstead's been hired to play in Ahsoka is that of Dr. Aphra. Now, as pumped as I am for that, and as big of a fan of Mary Elizabeth Winstead as I am, I'm not sure, because Aphra, she does present as Asian in comics, and I feel like they're going to go with an actor of Asian descent. However, of anybody on this list that's almost certain to make the transition to live action, it's Aphra. Sooner or later, she's going to make that transition to the small screen, and maybe the big one, as she's probably one of my favorite new Star Wars characters in a very, very long time. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you again next week. If there's another character from the comics that you'd love to see, go ahead and drop them in the comments. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week.